Lori shared a loving, close, and wonderful relationship with her sister Karen. Lori adored and admired her fabulously supportive stepchildren, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And on a personal note, during Lori's illness, I really learned how terrific they are. And finally, Lori's close friends, who she chose, are like family, caring, concerned, and always there for her during the good and challenging times. Lori was never alone. In addition to her family and friends, Lori was also fortunate to have passion about so many things that brought tremendous joy to herself as well as to the people around her. A love of music, and in particular, of course, jazz, the love of the country Israel and the Israeli people, her annual Passover Seders, the more than 40 years of dedication to El Al, traveling all over the world, and of course, living in exciting New York City, which she loves so much. Her great interest in psychology and the desire to grow and change was an asset that Lori possessed. And as politics was one of her favorite topics of discussion, Lori always freely articulated and shared her knowledge, opinions, and ideas. You could very often find Lori relaxing and experiencing enjoyment from her crossword puzzles, reading the New York Times, good books, and I could always count on Lori to share some vino. Before beginning our program, Lori's daughter Talia, daughter Talia, will now read Lori's obituary, which was so beautifully written by her family.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Daddy. You're welcome. Lori Susan Blank, Samet Davis, October 2nd, 1940 to April 8th, 2012. Born Lori Susan Blank, first daughter of Ruth and Herman Blank, made her debut on October 2nd, 1940 in Newark, New Jersey. Young Lori was adorable, talkative, sociable, and extremely talented. She was adored by friends and family and quickly excelled in elementary school, skipping 2 grades. At the age of 13, Lori developed a passion for theater and performing arts and attended the dramatic workshop. Graduating from high school by the age of 16, Lori went on to attain a bachelor's degree from Skidmore College, where she majored in English literature. In her late 20s, Lori was employed by LR Airlines as an executive secretary and later retired from LR. At LR, she made lasting friendships that lasted her lifespan. She met the love of her life, Charles Davis, in the late 70s while attending a jazz festival. The lovebirds married shortly after. The most important thing in Lori's life was her unabashed devotion to her husband. A remarkable woman with a circle of friends who loved and supported her, Lori was always giving of herself. She started a special tradition amongst her friends by inviting them to share her Seder. Fellow Jews and non-Jews of every ethnicity participated year after year, partaking in the Jewish tradition by preparing dishes, singing songs in Hebrew, reading assigned parts, and looking for the aftercoming. Our beloved Lori was survived by her husband, Charles Davis, sister Karen Cohen, cousin Charlene Gilman, nephews Jamie Cohen, and Seth Cohen, stepchildren Linda Harris, Louis Davis, Talia Wilkinson, grandchildren Chantel, Danielle, Bayel, Michelle, and Shaquille, great-grandchildren Damien, Rihanna, Avery, Justin, Alana, and Anaya, and a host of loving cousins and friends who will miss her and treasure her dearly. I am the musician and she was the music, spoken the words of my father, Charles Davis.
Lori is deeply missed, but the many wonderful experiences that each of us shared with her over the years provide us with fond memories, and many that leave us with a smile on our face. Several family members, friends, and musicians would like to share some of those moments and honor Lori, so it's now time to get started with our program. First, I welcome Lori's beloved sister, Karen Cohen.
Who is Lori? Yes, she was my sister, only 18 months older than me, but she was so much more than that. She was like a mother to me. When I needed her, she was always there. She protected me, always knew what was best for me. She was my teacher, and I had so much to learn from her. No, I didn't want to be like her. I wanted to be her. To me, she was all that I was lacking and needed. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She seemed so comfortable with people, and people always responded to her. Like anyone else, life could be difficult for her too. Yes, she admitted to me more than once that although she may have worn a smile on her face, she often was crying on the inside. I never knew that. Lori was so bright. She was a phenomenal writer. In business, she always did the writing for her bosses, who realized the talent and wisdom she had. In her personal life, she wrote marvelous poetry. It seemed to come easily to her, despite the time and effort required of her. And she was a voracious reader with varied interests: history, theater, mysteries, biographies, etc. Lori was a great dancer and taught me how to dance the popular dances. The jitterbug, the twist. She never complained about doing that. She never made me feel like she was babysitting me. She genuinely and graciously shared her many talents with me. There is one special and yet a bit odd thing she taught me: how to kiss a boy. When I was 13 years old, I was going on my first date, a double date with Lori and her boyfriend David. Well, I guess Lori figured that after the movie we were planning to see, we would stop the car and have a make-out session. So earlier in the day, Lori told me to sit on her lap and hold her closed hand up in front of me. Then she told me to kiss my hand. She told me again and again that I needed to open my mouth more when I kissed my hand. This went on until I guess I finally got it. That's my sister for you. Believe it or not, there was no sibling rivalry between us. When I was born, my parents told Lori that I was her dolly, and she always introduced me that way when anyone asked her, "Who is this?" I know it sounds like a fabrication, but it was absolutely true. Even Lori agreed with that. Yes, I would get angry at her when she borrowed a dress or a blouse of mine and returned it with a food stain or cigarette burn on it. Who would? But that was Lori. I believe very much that knowing Lori changed many people. Her friendships with people continued to grow throughout her life. She was very open and giving. She was very much her own person, but gave back with her heart and soul. Now, when I stood up here, I asked the question, who is Lori? Well, I think I know. There are some famous lyrics to a wonderful song, and when I first heard it many years ago, I said, that's my sister. And I just want to reiterate those words because I think they describe her absolutely wonderfully. And now the end is here, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a woman? What has she got? If not herself, then she has naught. To say the things she truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Yes, it was my way.
A dear friend to Lori is Dorothy Hurdle, who will share some of her memories with us. Dorothy?
Charles, Karen, family and friends, and Lori, I know you are here in this room with us tonight. I feel your presence. And just as an aside, as Cheryl said, is this unbelievable or what? Intelligent, beautiful, well-spoken, well-read, political, worldly, witty, funny, feisty, curious, observant, playful, kind, sensitive, gentle, classy. I could go on and on. That was my Lori. She was my first New York friend. We met in October 1968 when I transferred to the New York El Al office from Montreal. She was beautiful, with long red hair, very well dressed, and she looked the role of a very efficient, important, albeit glamorous, executive secretary to the general manager, Lilo. Right, Rita? Lilo? Baruch Lilo? But most importantly, when I first met her, I wanted to be friends with her immediately. Her friendly demeanor, the twinkle in her eye, her intelligence shone through, and she was definitely my type. In the years we worked together at El Al, she and I became really close friends. We lived near each other uptown, she on 81st and 1st, me on 74th and 1st, and we used to walk home together almost every day. We came from very different backgrounds, but we found each other's life experiences mutually interesting. We never ran out of things to talk about. The interesting aspects of working for the Israeli Airlines, the politics, and office gossip, of course. But we also talked about books and movies and the theater, which she knew a lot about. In fact, Lori knew a lot about everything. We both loved all kinds of music, and we loved the oldies and knew the words to all kinds of songs. The crooners, Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Nina Simone, Eartha Kitt, and we would sing refrains to each other.
Then, of course, she immersed herself in the jazz world with Charles, and her musical tastes grew very sophisticated, far more than mine. But we would still call each other and mention a singer and try to remember a song one of us was searching the words for. And I would find a song that I loved and call her and say, listen to this one, I think you're going to like this one. Ugh, I just can't do that anymore. We shared all the holidays together, and all our birthdays, and anything else we could celebrate or think of to be happy about. We were part of each other's chosen family. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Passover. Her chocolate cake, originally named by me as Mom's Decadent Chocolate Cake, has now been renamed by me as Lori's Decadent Chocolate Cake. The Jell-O mold, too, became a staple of all our celebrations, and of course, Karen's broccoli dish. We have to have them. They are as necessary as the turkey or brisket. Recently, at Jessica's bridal shower, my daughter, I made it in Lori's honor because she would have been there. Not one crumb was left over. She and Charles always made Passover, and it was a wonderful Passover. Charles would invite his friends, which is how we got to know people like Jill and Leroy, Diana and Murray, Cedar, Bob and Bobby, Sandy, and many others. Forgive me if I haven't mentioned your names. Charles made delicious chicken and a mean brisket. Lori took care of the Passover Seder readings and always began with a speech addressing the meaning of Passover and the racial and political unrest still happening in the world today. It was always thought-provoking. Charles would crack jokes and be disruptive in his fashion, and Lori would scold him. It always reminded me of my family in Montreal, where that kind of thing went on. We argued, as all Jewish families do, about who hides the afikoman and who finds it. Everybody had their own version depending on how it was done in their family. In the end, of course, Lori and Karen's version prevailed. Lori always wore a beautiful kaftan, and her table was always elegantly set with Mom's beautiful dinnerware, always with the help of Karen. Every Hanukkah for many years, I would call her and say, how does the prayer go to the candle prayer? And she would sing it to me, and I would hurry off the phone so I could do it. It was not about being religious for me. It was about tradition. One year, I didn't call as early as I usually did, and she called me up and she said, well, don't you need your prayer lesson? When Jessica was born, whom she totally adored, she wanted to know everything about what she did and when she did it. As a newborn, Jessica received many gifts, but the one that remains to this day still hangs on a shelf in her room, which is now my den. It was precious. I brought it to show to Lori when she was sick. She was so pleased to see it clean and hanging there. It brought tears to her eyes. In the last few months, I shared everything I could with Lori about Jessica's wedding. Her dress, all the dresses she had tried on, the wedding planning charts. She mentioned some things that we had not thought of, and we incorporated them. And we prayed that Lori would be at the wedding. We talked about what she would wear. She was all excited. She was going to have an African motif kaftan made with a turban. I rejoiced with her, but I was afraid. She affectionately called me Little Dorothy, and I would call her Little Lori. She would ask me to help her edit her work-related letters when it came to upgrading her status at El Al, and she and I would plot strategy. When her mom died, she asked me to help buy the dress, which I did for her mom. I felt very honored because it meant I was her close friend and a part of her inner circle. We trusted each other implicitly. and told each other our secrets and never told them to anybody else. She was my soulmate, my second sister, since she already had sister number one, and so did I. She and I would call each other for advice, and we knew we would be there for each other always and forever. We promised each other that we would get together and make time to make CDs for each other for our funerals, but life got in the way, and it never happened. But I know that what Charles has put together today with the family would please her immensely, and she's watching us. I think she's going to listen. Of course, I state the obvious when I say that Laurie had many friends who stood by her throughout this long fight, aside from her sister Karen, Rika, Marta, Linda, Jill and Diana, Bobby, my Karen, Sandy, and others who I don't know, but you know who you are. In the last weeks, she told me she had two wishes. She wanted to be at Jessica's wedding, and she wanted to see Obama win. In one conversation, she blurted out to me, "Who will I talk to?" I was very taken aback, but I said, "You'll talk to me." And we were quiet. And one thing is for sure, I have been talking to her a lot. In that same conversation, she said, "Oh my God, Dorothy, we will miss each other so much." Laurie was a very patient, soft-spoken person, and she was a patient patient. In the hospital, when she needed a mouthpiece, she would call me at work and say, "Help! This is what's happening, please come." And I did. I was her advocate. I was her big mouth. I didn't have any problem fighting for her rights. We laughed about it. She would say, "You don't mess with her." Some days I ache, wanting to call her and ask her something that only she would know the answer to, and I can't. I know you must all share that same feeling with me. It really sucks. It's not fair. To say that Laurie was an interesting, special person would be an understatement. She was a treasure, a shining light, an incredible intellect. Laurie, I was lucky to have you as my soul sister. I was lucky to share my life with you, and lucky that you let me into yours. If I could have a lifetime wish, a dream that could come true, I wish for many more yesterdays and golden days with you. But 1,000 words can't bring you back. I know because I've tried. And neither will a million tears. I know because I've cried. You left behind my aching heart and memories and happy memories too. But Laurie, I never wanted memories. I only wanted you. You will live in my heart forever.
The next special friend, a dear friend of Laurie's, is Rika. We are now calling pianist Dardo Hammer and vocalist Melba Joyce, who will perform "I'll Be Seeing You."
Yeah, it's in the printer.
Larry Johnson, Laurie with all the beautiful smiles, and it's like their honeymoon. We gotta do this song. Find you in the morning sun, and when I'll be with you, but I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you in all the old places that is hard on praises. Oh, lady, in this long cafe, the park across the way, children's carousel, that's just a dream. Wishing well, I'll be seeing you in everything that's like me. I always think of you that way. You're right, find you in the morning sun, when that night is I can see that is all my praises all day in the smoke and rain across the way, the children's carousel, just a dream. I will see in everything that's not me. I always think of you, right here, so I I'm you in the morning sun, and when I'll be looking at you, I'll be looking at you, I'll be looking at you, I'll be seeing you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Tardo and Melba, and I don't know the other names, I'm sorry, but that would have made Lori very, very proud, and that was an honor to have you sing and play. So thank you. The next special friend is Rika Hendel, who's a dear, dear friend of Lori's.
That was so beautiful. All we needed was Lori here, bobbing her head, and a glass of wine, and we'd be set. I miss her terribly. I need my glasses. Down here. Oh, this is my walk. Dances. First thing I want to actually read so I get it correct is from Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. And so be it with my dear friend, my sweet, my darling Lori. She will never leave my heart until I am gone, and I will take her with me. I want to say something else before I talk about Lori and stop my voice from quivering. To forget someone. Forgetting someone is like forgetting to put out the light in the backyard. But leaving it on all day, that is the light that makes you remember. The most beautiful flower withers in a short time, and so it is and was with my dear friend Lori. I met Lori about 47, 48 years ago. I'm not exactly counting. We worked for the same company. We became fast friends. You know, they say youth is wasted on youth. Not true. We had a ball. We were in our late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe to 63. But we had the time of our life. We were at a party, and we didn't even know it. Lori and I traveled together. Lori and I went to theater together. I met her parents. She met my parents. We went to the opera. We went to the ballet. And I have to tell you, Karen, every time I went to the ballet with your sister, I would say, there's a ballet girl that should be here. And she laughed. Karen, you know what I'm talking about. I have lots of little stories that I can't go into because they belong to Lori and they belong to me. And some of them belong to Charles. So, about 30 years ago, maybe it was outside here, Dizzy Reese was doing his New York City Jazz Festival. And Lori would come in the afternoon. And I said to Lori, you have to meet someone. And she said, okay. And that was the beginning of Lori and Charles and Lori. And I have to say that, yay, jazz. She learned so much from Charles. He learned from her, but not about jazz. She was a real jazzman's wife. And some of you who are here and are the wives of jazzmen will understand what I mean. I also got Lori in the car. She moved from uptown. She moved into my building. And we stayed friends after I left LA. And then we were together. We'd go to clubs together. We'd listen to our men play together. And for the last 2 months, or since Easter Sunday, when Laura left us, I've been trying to bring back our youth, her red hair, her fabulous smile, the way she moved, the way she danced. She was poetic, she was gay, she was eager. And now there is a time for everything, and it happened, and I'm very sad, and I hope that I could bring back only the younger times, not the time when she was ill. I want to see her as she was. And she would love this tonight. She would absolutely love it. I love you, darling. I'm here for you. Thank you.
And now we have another close friend of Lori's, Linda Applebaum Shapiro.
Linda Applebaum Shapiro is not here. Linda Appleman Shapiro is here.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Does it matter where I stand? I guess I can stand in place. Everyone else who has spoken before me made it sound as though they were indeed Lori's soulmate and only friend. How could that be? Everybody here knows that I was her only friend. No, indeed, I wasn't her only friend, but I was probably her oldest friend. And I don't mean in age, because of course I'm very young, but we met when we were 12. And I can't speak as beautifully as you did, Rika, extemporaneously. I did write it out because I'm too filled with too much emotion to just speak extemporaneously, so forgive me. I will read what I've written. You will also note that I have in my hand the photo of Lori that was posted with her obituary, because I need her up here with me to give me the strength to speak to all of you. When Lori called asking me if I would speak, and I quote, "When the time came," she stated euphemistically, "should I go to heaven before you, would you feel comfortable offering a eulogy?" I told her that it would be an honor to do so, and it is my honor to do so. Yet you all must know that how she phrased her request was totally uncharacteristic. Uncharacteristic for Lori, for sure. But then, who can truly be characteristic at a time when one knows, or at the very least senses, and is beginning to accept what others were already feeling was inevitable? Time is no longer on Lori's side. The day she called and asked me this, time was no longer on her side. But she remained strong as she asked, and I followed her lead, responding as firmly as my voice could carry my words. I would be lying now if I did not admit that my heart ached then, and it aches as much now. I think perhaps even more now. But I need you all to know the last words Lori said to me on her final day, Easter Sunday. Unable to know if she really heard anything any of us might say, I had a few moments alone with her, and I told her that I didn't want her to suffer any longer. And much to my surprise, almost shock, she answered me. Her eyes shut, her body seemed no longer to be with us. She said, as only Lori would, "I don't want anyone to suffer." That was Lori, our dear Lori. As some of you may know, Lori and I met at age 12, taking classes at, I think you referred to it, the Dramatic Workshop here in Manhattan. We were two very young girls who came from, as you said, Dorothy, two totally different worlds. She, who lived in an affluent area in New Jersey, the daughter of American college-educated parents, and I, the daughter of Russian immigrants who lived in a poor Jewish ghetto of a neighborhood in Brooklyn, a world that was as foreign to Lori as hers was to me. Yet we found so much that fascinated us and exposed us to ways of life which neither of us would have known existed had we not met them and visited each other's homes. In addition to all we shared, our interests including our love for the theater, literature, and music, we also shared, unfortunately, mothers who suffered from major depression. And in turn, we were parentified as children. We were parentified as children, suffering along with our mothers and absorbing the pain within our own families. But it was Lori who educated me about what no one in my family explained to me. Me, the daughter in an immigrant household, the second-class citizen who they thought they were protecting by not affirming all that I saw and heard. So it was Lori with the thousands of books in her house, and I mean thousands. Am I right, Karen? Were there thousands of books in your house? I think there were. Is that correct? Didn't your mom have thousands of books? Yes? In any event, with the thousands of books in her house and with the intellectual curiosity of someone well beyond her years, who educated herself and in turn me, about the treatments each of our mothers received and owed so much more. And that's when our lifelong bond of friendship began, more than half a century ago. We joked as recently as weeks before she entered hospice that we probably knew in utero that life is not fair, that bad things do happen to good people. Yet we also agreed that it's what each of us does with the challenges that present themselves that ultimately define who we are. Despite the fact that all too often for some of us those challenges are daunting, they certainly were many times for you, Lori. And Lori, my dear, dear friend, as far as I'm concerned, your life was nothing short of exemplary. Not because you were perfect or didn't make your fair share of mistakes, but because you were authentic. In the best of times and in the worst of times, you were honest, thoughtful, genuine, passionate, and yes, very sexy. And oh, how I always wanted to be sexy like you. You were also a person who seldom, if ever, complained, at least not to me, except for witnessing an injustice or experiencing one personally. In the end, I trust that we here today would all agree that the decisions we make and the actions we take speak to how we will all be remembered. And Lori, you will indeed be remembered well by everyone who has been blessed to know you. Charles, where is Charles? Charles, you will undoubtedly remember Lori in ways that none of us can. She was the partner with whom you shared so many years of your private and public life, and you never could have had a bigger fan. She was always so proud of you. And Karen, you were so blessed to have such a loving sister who always cared about you and for you, always, every day. Your memories will be those that only a sister can have. the good times in your family, and all the other times throughout the years. And for the rest of us, friends and relatives, we will have our private memories, and Lori's spirit will continue to live on and inspire us, perhaps more than any other reason, because of the selfless ways in which she advocated for each of us whenever we needed her. Sadly, most of us, except for perhaps Dorothy, could not advocate enough for you, dear Lori. We couldn't spare you from the suffering you had to endure once cancer began to diminish your physical strength, though never your brilliant mind. Your interest in our world at war concerned you every bit as much as your personal war with your body. And throughout it all, you never failed to ask each of us about our lives, the lives of our children, and for some of us, even our grandchildren. No, Lori, you never stopped caring, you never stopped loving. And if I can take the liberty to speak for everyone here, I will say that each of us already misses you terribly. Marcel Proust once wrote, and I quote, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." I think if we are truly to honor you, Lori, we will all attempt to see the world and each other in new ways, always with love and respect. And if ever we feel that we are not being open to new ways of seeing, I trust that your face will appear before us. Your face with your beautiful, penetrating eyes will help to place us on the path we need to be on, to be the best person we're capable of being, and to remain hopeful about ourselves and about the world, the way you were. I love you, Lori. Sorry. And while I cannot and refuse to say goodbye, I will say to you, my dear, dear friend, that I pray you had an easy sailing. And yes, as when you ask me to speak, I'll add, an easy journey to heaven. Indeed, to heaven. If there is a hierarchy in the next world, Lori, you are surely at the very top with the noblest of the noble. I would only ask that with the strength and humor that has always been yours, you put in a good word for us when our time comes. No doubt we'll all need it. Thank you.
Another longtime, wonderful friend is Karen Gray.
I met Lori through Dorothy. And I'm glad Dorothy got to go before me, because she speaks for me. But the reason I wanted to be up here was that when Lori first got sick, I offered myself to Lori and Charles was very gracious about this, to go along with them to all their doctor appointments as their scribe. Meaning, you know, when you're at a doctor and he's telling you news that's difficult to listen to, or you don't want to hear, or you can't hear, or you don't understand, it's really wonderful to have somebody along with you who can listen and hear it and not, you know, get lost in the pain of it. And I knew I could do that for her, and I did. And for about 1.5 years, I think it was, I went with Lori and Charles to the doctor, and each different decision that needed to be made, and the research that needed to be done, and the questions that needed to be answered, and the different stages that she was along with, you went through. I was there, and I just felt that that's the thing that I could offer that other people haven't spoken to, because I had the doctor experience. And what I want to say about that is, the thing I learned about Lori that I didn't know because we hadn't had this experience, that she was the total opposite, the total absolute opposite of what we call in Jewish a kvetch. A kvetch is somebody who complains a lot and feels sorry for themselves. And Lori never, 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 never was like that the whole time. She never complained. She was always willing to talk about what was going on in the outside world, be curious about what was going on, willing to be entertained, didn't, never want to look at me, poor me, never, nothing, anything like that. And it just kept going on like that, no matter how bad it got, she was still always like that. It was, I had not had that experience with her before, and it was truly wonderful, and Charles was very generous in allowing me to be there in such difficult moments with the doctors. And also, in addition to never feeling sorry for herself, she would always be talking about being worried about Charles. How is Charles going to handle it? And she really, really loved him. And it wasn't about her, it was how's Charles going to be, who's going to take care of my Charles. And I know that everybody here is Charles's friend and you're going to be around him. In terms of loving and willing to be engaged and not focus on her own troubles, there was one thing I noticed about her often, and many of you who visited her in the hospital will know this. You would walk in and she'd be sitting in her bed, and she looked ashen and down and quiet. And within a few moments, as we began to tell her stories of what was happening, her whole face would light up, and suddenly she was talkative and able to engage in everything. And Lori, as you all know, was a political junkie, which I'm like. So always we had these political conversations and all to talk about books and all that stuff that you guys all talked about, but always willing to do it. As a matter of fact, once I remember, Dorothy, the time we came over in Frank to visit Lori when she was at home feeling quite sick, and we literally could not, we were sitting in the living room, and she couldn't get out of bed to come be with us. It was like Charles would go in every 10 minutes, come on, come on, come on, come on, she wouldn't come out. But she finally did make it out, and she walked out, like this, and we were like, oh, shocked, like how it was. But like after a little while, she was talking to us, and she was having fun, and she was not the same Lori when we left and then when we came in. Her face had color, there was a aliveness to it, and that was just because she was just willing to be happy rather than not happy, and I learned so much from her. And the other thing, on my last experience, again, Dorothy and I worked on her memory board, which you'll find outside. And, putting it together for the last, we asked for pictures from many of you, we got one. And made me kind of relive her life a bit, because we were picking the pictures and we tried to put them in order of, growing up with Carrie and your whole family, and then us meeting her and all our experiences in Fire Island and Dorothy and our pictures from there, and then her whole life with Charles and all her friends from the jazz group which we put in, and then right down to that last picture of her in the hospital bed where she still had her beautiful self, and she was always very beautiful, but she always loved being beautiful, I must say. As she said, when she had, cut her hair and lost her hair, and it grew back, and she still looked cute with that little gray head of hair, and I would kept, I thought, God, if I had to have that hairdo, it would not be funny, But she was just beautiful always. Part of it, the character going through, but part of it, she just stayed in different ways, beautiful. And so, this last year with her was a treasure to me. Really it was. And I'm really sorry that she's gone. I'm glad that she was in my life. And a last word on the memory board is that chocolate cake that Dorothy talked about. That used to be her specialty for our Passover sayers, which we took a picture of. It's in the board. And we're going to make it every Passover till the end of our lives with her dishes in it, and it'll be part of Lori's always at the table with us.
And now I'd like to invite another dear friend of Lori and Charles and pianist Cedar Walton, who will play Skylark. Thank you, music certainly. One more beloved friend is Marta Gulubitz, who worked at El Al with Lori for decades. Marta?
Hi, I've been friends with Lori for almost 40 years. One night, we were having drinks at my house, and I asked Lori for a favor. I said, if you'd be kind enough, then do me a favor. She said, sure, what is it that you want? And I said, there is a poem I would like you to read, if and when I pass. So we had another drink, laughed. She said, okay, but you have to promise me that if I go first, you'll do it. So here's the poem. Do not stand at my grave anew. I am not dead. I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond moons that snow. I am the sunlight unripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awake in the morning hush, I am the swift lifted rush of quiet birds and circling light. I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did die. Thank you.
Two of Lori's granddaughters, who she loved dearly, Chantel and Danielle, will now sing Speak to My Heart.
Good evening. We're Lori's two oldest grandchildren. She's the oldest. I'm second in line. One thing I'm going to miss about Lori is her beautiful smile, the way she would light up every time she saw us. So beautiful, so beautiful. Okay, here we go. Yeah, she would always get on us whenever we had our college was chip. Go in there, take it off. I have to walk out. Yeah. Speak to my heart, Holy Spirit. Give me the words that will bring me light. Lifting my heart from despair, how you love me and care for me, Lord, you speak to my heart.
You have to light it up.
Speak to my heart, Holy Spirit. Give me the words that will bring me light. Lifting my heart from despair, how you love me and care for me, Lord, you speak to my heart. Speak to my heart, 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 give me your holy word. If I can't hear from you, I don't know what to do. I don't go alone. I never go on my own. It's okay. Oh, Jesus. Hallelujah. Speak to my heart. Give me your holy word. If I can't hear from you, I don't know what to do.
Encore!
And another family member, great-granddaughter Brianna Bills, has written a poem for Lori and would like to recite it. Brianna?
The other day I was just thinking about Grandma Lori and her beautiful smile, her twinkling eyes, and I was thinking about how beautiful she was. And I think she was the most wonderful person I ever met in my life. That's what I wanted to poem. Great Grandma Lori has done a lot for her. She will always stay in our hearts. We've been there for her. We always respect her wishes, hopes, and dreams. Grandma Lori sees above in heaven and smiles at us. Every month we used to share with her. Christmas, she bought me a baby alive doll. And I see that doll, I just think about her. She's an angel, and that's all that matters. We love you, Grandma Lori. Have fun in heaven.
I think you have an incredibly talented family, and everyone would agree. Also here tonight are the legendary musicians who brought so much joy to Lori. Barry Harris, as well as Jimmy Heath, are here, and Barry will now perform.
Sure. I'm walking slow because my side is acting funny today. But life goes on. It generally stops. Katie. Quickly, I'm gonna sing this. This is a song that was written for musicians, but I'm gonna sing it for Lori. Because she was a very beautiful person. Treated us all beautiful. You know.
Sit down.
I'm gonna need Katie. I'm gonna have you hold this. No, that's it. Was life gone in? Perhaps written in stars, Some of us learn to live and cherish every breath, fulfilling dreams, bringing beauty to the sea. Such was my gift. It was sharp, but oh, so strong. In her way, she filled our hearts with a song. And filled the floor with such joy. Just with her precious gift. Remember, it's not goodbye. But so long we'll meet again. It's not goodbye. But so long.
Have you seen the next episode?
Thank you very much. That was for Laurie. She came to all our concerts. Because Charles was in all of them. So you know you have to cover all that. You know, so she will be missed. We plan on having another concert We might even have a concert sooner than you think. I've been thinking about it. So be on the lookout. Because she'll be one of the people, because we've lost so many in the last, say, 4 years. So many from the chorus, so many people associated with the chorus, friends and names. So the concert will be dedicated to all of them, most assuredly, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you, that was terrific. And we have one more set of performers, Kiani, David, Leroy, Richard, and Lee, who would like to perform in Lori's honor, so thank you.
Be closer because
Thank you. Tonight has been an opportunity for all of us to say thank you to Lori for being part of our life. For each of us, Lori played a different role, and we should be grateful for those experiences and memories. We continue to mourn the loss of her life, and as well as celebrate her life. So thank you, and you are now invited by Lori and Charles' family for a reception in the lounge. Thank you.